Hello, good morning, lovely ones, and welcome to episode 3 of our Sensitive Superstar series. Now, I'm just doing something a little bit technical. For me, this is a little bit technical. I'm just checking to see how this is coming up on live, because I've just got my laptop here, so I got some advice. I got some advice about how to film it, and if I'm doing it this way, it looks really funny on screen, so I'm going to turn it back this way and see how that looks. Bear with me 1 second while we just work this out. Yeah, okay, cool. Somebody had said do it landscape, but when I do that, it looks really skew up on screen, so we're just going to go with it this way. Okay, cool, good morning. Yeah, welcome to episode 3 of our Sensitive Superstar series, and if you are joining me live, then give me some hearts, let me know you're here, and say hey, because today's episode is going to be really, really awesome. I'm just going to sort this out here. There we go, cool. Yes, if you're coming over, if you're joining me live, then say hey, let me know you're here. Just to remind you, if you're part of my group and you are on this live, we are on my page, so just be aware that I'm going to be sharing this. But what we're going to do today at lunchtime, 1 o'clock today, come on over to the Soul Confidence group, because we are going to be going deep into this. So if you are listening to this live, hey Marie, hello gorgeous. If you are listening to this live and you want to really go a little bit deeper with this, like it might bring some things up for you, you might want to ask me some like specific or personal questions, you can of course do that right now. But if you want to go a little bit deeper into it, come and join me at 1 p.m. in my Soul Confidence group, and I'll share the link to that in a moment once we're done with this live, so you can come on over at lunchtime and just really ask anything that is kind of relevant for you. But I do want you, if you're joining me live, to let me know you're here, and let me know what's resonating with you, because this has been an incredible series. It's just like, I woke up on Monday morning and I was like, do you know what? I totally know in every fibre of my being that right now what the world needs so much is the world needs our sensitive women who have healed our hearts, like dealt with the stories, dealt with the things that have happened to us in the past, have learned what we need to learn from that, and we are now in a place where we've got these massive hearts and we want to take this love out into the world, but we need to make sure that we are looking after ourselves. We need to make sure that we're really caretaking our emotional well-being, in order, and it doesn't matter, it might be that, like I was saying yesterday, you might be working in the education sector, or you could be a coach, or you might be just considering what you want to do, or you might be looking at how you can bring more love and compassion into your life and into your family life, or you want to bring it into your work somehow. So it's really, really important that as a sensitive, heart-led woman who has this great empathy and this great compassion, that we really, really are showing up for ourselves, and we really are falling in love with ourselves. And that is where I really want to focus today's episode on. And it's not actually this idea that you need to learn how to love yourself, though it might feel like that, because what I really know to be true from my own experience and from working with the amazing clients I've got to work with so far, and the members of my groups, is it's not actually, we already were born in love with ourselves. Like, that if you look at any small child, like if you've got your own, or if you look at family members or just kids, generally, they know like how to be in that place of love. Like, they're so closely connected to it. Good morning, Sandeep. It's awesome to have you here. So as you're joining live, just let me know you're here and ask any questions that you might have. And as I was saying, we're gonna go deep into this in the group at 1 today. So it's this idea that we're born knowing how to love ourselves. Like, that's not something that we don't come into the world like thinking, oh my god, I've got so much shit, and like, you know, I'm rubbish at this, and I can't do this, and everybody else is better at me in some way. We're born completely whole. And good morning, Michelle. What a pleasure to have you here, gorgeous lady. Yeah, we're born knowing how to love ourselves. We just are in love with ourselves, and that is just such a special place. It's such a special place to be, and to see young people like in that, and in that presence. And this is so much of my work, is like how do we get back into that place of being able to be really present, and to notice everything, but to notice everything in a way that's really like the compassionate witness. So we're not attaching to what's going on, we're just able to be really in that moment and just enjoy it and love it. So what happens is, you know, as all of you like sensitive, heart-led superstars know, you know, life happens, you know, situations happen, you know, we get hurt, like things happen to us that feel wrong. We hear stories, like people tell us, you know, that this is right and that is wrong, and we start to take that on board as our own. And then we get to a place, right, where we just realise, oh my god, I'm so disconnected to myself. This is definitely my story. You know, I got to a place where I was like, I am so disconnected with myself. I don't even know what I want and what I need. Like I'm living this life that I don't feel like I particularly am a participant in. And you get to a place where it's like, right, it just feels shit enough, right? That I'm gonna do something different, and I'm gonna relearn how to love myself. And it takes time, and this is really what I want to focus on today is this idea, like first off, why do you want to be your own best mate? You know, why is that important? And I think if we just take a moment to consider that, like to consider actually where are you at right now, you know, how, you know, if you were to consider like how much do you love yourself. And because it feels weird, right, when we have to relearn this, because it's like, if I start to love myself, does that make me like egotistical? Is that going to turn me into a selfish person? Is that going to make me look like I've got a big head? You know, like, oh, think of all those old stories, and really just like shine some awareness on it, and actually think, where am I at right now, and why do I want to be my own best mate? Or maybe you already are, which is awesome, but we all need to remember how important it is, right? Because if you are in a place of being attached to the mind chatter, the ego, the inner critic, however you class it, which is, you know, that voice that tells you that you're not X enough, you're not good enough, you've not done enough, you need to do more, etc, 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 then you are far removed from really being in that place of cheerleading yourself. So I'm just aware that I'm doing this in front of my window, and the light is, I look slightly ghost-like, but anyway, it's all good. Let me just move around a little bit so I can reduce the ghost-like effect. There we go. That's better, isn't it, ladies? Okay, I'll just come. I thought the light would be better there, but I think it's better here, and I just got into a roll there and just noticed the ghost-likeness that was happening. Anyway, so yeah, we've got to really bring that compassion and really learn how can we fall utterly in love with ourselves. And yes, when we come to this place of like, right, okay, yeah, I'm ready, I really want to thank you, Michelle. Angelic, yeah, that's a much better way of framing it. Thank you. And I said that all with the utmost love to myself, because I do appreciate my paleness very much, and I do love my paleness. Anyway, where was I? Yes, so when we're in that place of really like relearning how to love ourselves, it is difficult, because if you think back to what you were told when you were growing up, which is like things like don't shine too bright, you know, don't put your hand up in class all the time, like don't look like you know it all, don't look like you are in love with yourself, because this is it's like thought of as a bad thing. And I think culturally that goes quite deep with us within this country. And if you're watching this and you're elsewhere, you're out of the UK, please let me know how it goes down for you, because I'd be really interested to know. But for me, it's like you have to get past all of that ego stuff about not loving yourself, because if you go to the Marianne Williamson quote, which is just so beautiful, and I love it, and I think I must say it like every week, but even though I say it every week, I still paraphrase it badly, which is, who are you not to shine brightly? Like, who are you not to be all of who you are? Because, in essence, you're brought here for a reason. You're brought here to shine brightly. Like, you look at the kids, if we go back to what we were saying at the start, kids know how to be loved. They know how to be in that space. They don't have to question it. So, like, that's how we're born. Like, it is that easy. We are born into that place. It's just what happens afterwards that influences how much we fall out of love with ourselves. So it's now coming to a place of going, right, okay, now I wherever you're at being your best mate or learning to be your best mate, how do you take that even deeper? Like, how do you fall utterly in love with yourself? And there are so many different ways that you can do it. And there are so many different techniques. Have a little swig of my tea. And what I would say is, you've got it in you to do this, but it's definitely looking at, like, what do you need to do every day in order to show yourself loving kindness. And I cannot talk enough about this, this idea of really showing ourselves complete and total loving kindness and compassion. And it can be as simple as, like, just starting with how you're grateful, how you're grateful for you and your life. It can start with that, and then you can go deeper and look at, like, how you can acknowledge what you do really well. And this is really important, like looking at your achievements. What are you doing every day in your life that is an achievement? And once you start to acknowledge that, and it can be quite difficult because we have the old stories of, well, I'm never this, I'm never that, I'm never good enough, like, this is not enough, I'm not doing enough, I need to be doing more to prove myself, to prove that I'm worthy, to prove that I'm worthy of love. So here we go. We have to know the story. Like, what is the story? Like, if you're a sensitive, hard-led woman, what is stopping you from being totally and utterly in love with yourself? Like, what have you got some stories still there that you need to work on, and it's ongoing work. So for me, once I realised that I really didn't love and approve of myself in any way because of what my experiences were, like, that was the first part of the work, was like affirming that I do love and appreciate myself, that I did, and that's something I continue to do each and every day, because it's incredibly powerful, affirming that I deeply and completely love and appreciate myself. And here you go, like, to start off, that was really freaking difficult for me to say, because I had years and years of being so disconnected with that truth that it felt really weird and really strange to be saying it out loud. And that was a big thing for me, was just to affirm that I deeply and completely love and appreciate myself. Working then on being grateful, like, what am I grateful for in my life? Who am I grateful for? What have I done? Why am I proud of myself for this? And I tell you what, the first time I was asked, I think it was maybe about 4 years ago, to write out 101 things that I had achieved in a year, it took me, I'm not joking, it took me ages. And then I did it next year, and it took me like a couple of hours. And that was because through that year, I'd started every day to write down my achievements every day. So when it came to the end of the year, it was really much more easy for me to come up with 101 things. And this is the thing. Once we get into the groove of loving, like relearning to love ourselves, of like appreciating ourselves, of acknowledging what we are doing really well. Because, it is an easy way to go. It's like an easy way to go back to, like, there's 100 great things that you've done. There's one thing you haven't done right. You might well just want to focus on that one thing that you've not done, that you don't feel you've done right. But actually, you've done 100 amazing things. So to fall utterly and deeply in love with yourself, it's like looking at, like, what do you need to say to yourself to readdress whatever the story is that's telling you that you're not enough. Have you got some work to do to heal? Like, is there something that's still there that needs to be healed, that needs to be let go, that you need to work through? how are you showing up in terms of like appreciating yourself and acknowledging what you're doing well and what you're grateful for in your life already and for your life as it is. And then it's about like, what do you do to look after yourself? Like, what is your practice? What is your self-care? What are the things that light you up? How often are you doing things that make you happy? Because if we go back to what I feel is like the calling for us right now is as sensitive heart-led women, and that is that we need to be bringing our healed whole heart out into the world, living wholeheartedly within our lives, for our family, for our clients, for our work colleagues, for our community, and then for the world around us. Like, it all starts from within. Because you cannot go out and think, right, you know what, I want to do great things for me and my life and my family and my community and my world, if you're not starting within yourself, if you're not bringing that to yourself first. So it's like, and I love this quote as well. And it's one of my favourite Oprah quotes, and she says, you know, I want to be so full of myself that I'm literally overspilling, so that I'm so, you know, so she's basically saying, you know, so I'm so filled up with love and appreciation for myself that is spilling out into everyone around, and it's so powerful. Like, you cannot be in a place of wanting to bring love and compassion to anybody else if you're not bringing it to yourself first. And I've seen it happen so many times, like women who really are heart-centered but haven't been looking after themselves. They haven't got a practice that supports themselves. They don't create time for themselves. And that is absolutely paramount. And even when you're further down in the journey, like it's still even more important to be really like looking at your practice, how you're supporting your emotional well-being. Because if you're going out there and you're bringing that big heart and you're living wholeheartedly, you need to be continuing to fill yourself up, continuing to bring that love and compassion towards yourself. Okay, so Michelle says, over a year ago when I started working with you in the group, I thought it would be impossible to love and respect myself totally. I'm now 98% there. It's amazing. Still work to do, and being consistent is key, but feel so much better for stopping the self-criticism. Thank you for the brilliant leadership. I'm so happy to hear that. Michelle has been an incredible woman to get to know, and she's been part of she's been part of my old group, and she's now part of my tribe. And I get to see how incredible it is when a woman really does make a commitment to really free fall utterly in love with herself. And what I love about what Michelle said there is, you know, she's 98% there, and still work to do, but even when she gets to 100, there will be a new level. But what Michelle is doing, which is really important, is appreciating where she's at right now and being able to kind of map where she started and where she is now. And there will always be days when we are so challenged, and there will always be days where we don't feel like we are on top of the world. And here is one really big important piece that I'm so glad, Michelle, you've reminded me to share about, which is, you know, what's been the game changer for me over the last 6 months is really learning about my cycle, about my hormones, about really not just like surface level listening to my body. Because, you know, I trained as a yoga teacher, and I get, you know, listen to your body. So if your knee hurts, don't go too deeply into Trikonasana or whatever it might be. But what I mean is, over the last 6 months, it's like much deeper. It's like learning how my cycle works, like learning where I'm at in my cycle, like learning what I need to do that day. And what I've done is really looked at, like, if I want to live the most intimate and abundant life, which I do, and which I'm on the path to doing, like, I need to be really supporting that, and I need to be supporting myself day by day. And my practice needs to support that as well. So what you do one day in 1 week of your cycle will be completely different to what you would do like in week 3 or week 4, because you feel differently, and because you want to nurture your emotions in a different way. So that is really, really important, and I'll be sharing much more about that over the next couple of weeks, because I'm launching the Goddess Collective at the start of April rather, and that's going to be working with women who are looking to live their most abundant and intimate life, and it's going to be really working with our bodies as women. And looking at our cycles and everything that goes alongside that. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is awesome. So as I say, if you want to go deeper with this, come over and join me 1 p.m. in the Soul Confidence group. I'm going to pop the link in, and we can share in a much deeper level, and if you can ask me any questions that you might have about this. So have a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon. Loads of love.